couldn't honestly say it started with my friends and I walking down the road that day, but that's definitely when we first noticed it. In most neighborhoods, when the jingle of the ice cream van approached, children lined up on the streets, pocket money in hand, ready to get themselves a frozen treat. Not in this one. In this neighborhood, kids backed away from the roads when they heard that warped, twisted version of Yankee Doodle Dandy. They knew the van was about to come careening around the corner too fast for a residential area when they heard it. After the ice cream van whipped past us and screeched around the corner that day, as it always did, Jack then turned to us and posed the question, "Has anyone ever seen that ice cream van sell anything to anyone?" "Huh?" I asked lightly. No, I don't think so." I looked to Steve and Dave, and they looked between each other. "No, I don't think I have," said Dave. "Me neither." "Thought not," Jack replied. He looked back towards the corner where the ice cream van went. "I've never seen it stop either. I think we should have come across it parked somewhere by now." "I always thought it parked somewhere else," I said, "like another neighborhood." "But I've never seen it stop anywhere," Jack insisted. "Isn't that weird?" "I don't know," Steve said. "Honestly, you're fascinated by the most boring shit, Jack," Dave laughed. Jack didn't answer. He just stared after the ice cream van, but he had that twinkle in his eye. "Don't tell me you're planning to do something," I sighed. "I just want to see where it stops, if it stops," Jack answered. "Like, there's no way that van sells people ice cream. Maybe it sells something else?" "So what?" I asked. "You're planning to stake out the bloody ice cream van?" "Well, it could be something illegal. Don't you want to be the one to help break this case open?" Jack asked. We all collectively rolled our eyes at him. "Look, you're the only one who wants to play this cop shit," Dave groaned. "We all want to go home and play Xbox." "Oh, come on. None of you are even a little curious? Just a bit?" Jack pleaded. "Not really, no," Steve grunted. "No, I've been waiting all day to go home," Dave snapped. That was when Jack looked at me. He was begging me without words. I hung my head with a groan, and Jack beamed in triumph. "Thanks, man." Yeah, I sighed. "There'd better be at least something going on with this damn van, or I'm gonna smack you upside the head, Jack." A few very boring evenings later, Jack and I were waiting, playing Magic the Gathering, in the one area that we knew the ice cream van went around repeatedly. But the van always seemed to screech around at 100 miles an hour in the neighborhood. It often came and went too fast. "How long are we supposed to be sitting here waiting?" I snapped. "We can't catch the ice cream van on foot, and it never stops." "Isn't that really weird, though?" Jack asked. "Yeah," I responded. "But what are we supposed to do about it? If it never stops, then we can never catch it." Jack couldn't answer that one. "Let's go home," I answered. "This is pointless." Jack grunted, and I seized his arm, starting to take him away from the pavement we were lingering on. As we walked away, meandering vaguely towards home, the disturbed, twisted version of Yankee Doodle Dandy started playing. Jack looked over his shoulder. "Forget it, Jack. Let's go," I grunted. But then the music stopped. It was very abrupt, and the absence of sound was startling. Jack looked around again, and suddenly, he was the one pulling me by the arm. "Come on," he hissed. "Hurry." Jack yanked me into a neighbor's garden and dragged me down low into the neighbor's hedge. "Shh," Jack whispered. "Look." I crouched down, looking through the gaps in the bush. The ice cream van had stopped. It was surreal to see it completely stopped. There was something about the painting on the outside of the van. I'd seen knockoff cartoon characters, general murals involving ice cream and summer, but this one was different. It was shimmering, iridescent, like it was green one moment and dark blue the next. It didn't look like paint. It didn't look solid either. It looked like some strange metallic liquid, constantly shifting and moving, like if mercury had many different colors. As I was staring at the ice cream van, Jack nudged me again, Look, there's a girl!
What?
I craned around looking for her.
Where?
All I could see was the van. Everything else was just tufts of leaves.
Down there,
Jack hissed.
come over here.
I shuffled towards Jack, and he moved away from the hole he was looking through to let me see. Now that I'd changed positions, I could see the front of the van. There was a little girl with a bill in her hand, looking up cheerfully at the window in the ice cream van.
It stopped for her,
Jack said quietly. Have you ever seen it stop for anyone before?
No,
I whispered back. The little girl, 5 at most, went even closer to the window and waited. Then she reached up and knocked on the window. Then, the window started sliding open.
The window is opening,
I gasped.
Oh my God,
Jack replied.
we're gonna see the driver.
I felt Jack shuffle closer. He poked his hands into the bush and pulled the branches down so he could see. The window completely slid open. There was nothing but obscuring blackness in there.
Can you see anything?
Jack asked.
No,
I replied. The little girl walked even closer to the window.
Can I have a cone, please?
She asked. There was silence. A fleshy tube emerged from the window and snaked out. It hit the little girl before she could scream, and only when I heard the crunch did I realize that whatever the tendril was, it had teeth. Half the little girl was gone, but another bite, and she wasn't there anymore. Not a single drop of blood hit the floor. Then, the worm reeled itself back into the ice cream van. The window slammed shut. The ice cream van then started up again and pulled away, screeching down the road at 100 miles an hour. My entire body was stiff. It was so tense that I couldn't breathe. My mind didn't move, it was just numb. Next to me, Jack was trembling. After a long moment, Yankee Doodle Dandy had faded in the air. Jack stood up suddenly.
What the hell? I mean, what the hell?
He shrieked.
Did you actually see that? Or am I going insane?
Shut up! I snapped back.
It could come back, man. So you saw it?
Yeah, I yelped back.
What the hell was that? I don't know, man.
Jack swore under his breath, then looked up at me.
Mick, we gotta stop this thing. What? Are you insane? That thing's... it's gonna kill us. Bro, that's the reason all those kids are going missing.
He yelped.
Remember? On the news the other day? I don't watch the news, Jack,
I replied.
I'm not an old man. Well, I do. And kids have been going missing for so long it ain't even news anymore. I thought they caught whoever was doing it. But they hadn't. It's that thing.
I looked over to where it had gone.
Why did it go for her?
I asked after a moment.
I mean, it's been going around and around here for ages. Why her?
Jack looked up at me grimly.
Because she was alone, don't you get it? Aside from her, it's only you and me out here. And we just said, really loudly, that we were going home.
He growled.
It must have thought it was safe.
I looked down. My stomach was churning.
I'm going after it,
Jack announced.
You can join me if you want. When?
I asked.
Tomorrow,
Jack said.
I'm not letting it get any more kids.
I could tell that there was no reasoning with him. He was going with me or without me, but he was going.
Tomorrow,
I agreed.
Let's get the guys, and we'll take this thing down.
Dave and Steve stared at us like we were crazy people, but they stuck to their word and showed up with the best weapons high school boys could get. Well, high school boys who can't get into their dad's safes anyway, which meant we arrived with Dave and Jack wielding BB guns. Steve had a golf club, and I had a double-handed axe.
So, what are we doing again?
Steve asked as we hid in the bushes.
We're here to bash up the ice cream van?
Kinda, I answered grimly.
But it's the thing inside we need to get.
Dave and Steve started chuckling.
Whatever you say, man,
Steve murmured. I knew he didn't believe me, but he didn't have to. He'd know soon enough. I moved my gaze to Jack. He was standing on his own, staring out. He was the one who suggested he should be bait. His hands were free, but I could see the BB gun tucked into his waistband behind him. As I hid, great shivers were passing through me, but Dave and Steve were giggling away next to me. I whipped around.
Shut up, you morons,
I snapped.
This is serious. Sure. Super serious.
Steve replied mockingly. Dave cackled quietly next to him. Then, that old familiar sound could be heard, the warped version of Yankee Doodle Dandy. I hunched down. The ice cream van seemed to spot Jack by himself, and like last time, it pulled over onto the side. Jack walked up close to the window. "Dude, it stopped," Dave whispered. "Yeah, I've never seen that before," Steve said back. I ignored them both and kept my eye on Jack. At first, he waited a moment. Then he reached forwards and knocked on the window, like the small girl did.
"Hey, what flavors do you have?"
Jack called. The window of the ice cream van slid open. Jack reached for his BB gun behind him. "Almost. Not yet." There was a second of silence. "Not yet." Then the fleshy tentacle snapped out from the window. Jack whipped out his gun and fired.
Go, go, go!
I ordered, leaping out from our hiding place. I sprinted ahead, and as the tendril reeled from being shot, I swung my axe down from overhead. The blade sunk deep into the flesh of the creature, and it gave a gurgle and started thrashing harder. As it whipped around, I saw its mouth. It had horrible circular teeth all the way around it, like a leech. The thing threw itself away from me, and the axe flew out of my grip. I heard it clatter far away from us. Something tapped my shoulder. It was Jack. We stepped away from the thing together, him still firing at it.
"My axe!"
I snapped.
"Forget it. It's too far away."
Jack replied. Jack's gun clicked. It had run out of ammo.
"Damn it!"
Jack snarled, pulling out the jar of BB pellets. I looked over to the other two. They were staring at the ice cream van, mouths wide open.
"What are you doing? Help us!"
I screamed at them. Dave came to his senses first, drawing his own BB gun and shooting some pellets at it.
"Steve!
I barked.
Help us!"
It took him a moment, but after I heard Jack start firing again, he started bolting forwards, golf club in hand. With a battle cry, he swung the golf club with all his strength. It collided with the fleshy thing with a squelch, and it gave another gurgling cry. But Steve kept going. He hit the creature again and again and again. I'd lost count of how many times he had hit it before the ice cream van gave a sudden, more metallic groan. The entire thing lurched, and I started backing away, fast.
"Look out!"
Jack screamed. We all turned and sprinted away a few paces. A large clang rang out behind us, and when we turned around again, the van was flat on its side.
"Is it dead?"
Steve asked. We all looked at each other and shrugged nervously. We started to walk towards the van. It was overturned on its side, but underneath the van wasn't anything mechanical. Organs pulsed and throbbed underneath the thing, and I spotted both a heart and lungs buried in the wet scarlet mess. Dave retched. Steve gave a whimper. "Oh my God," Jack whispered. The ice cream van suddenly gave a deep, metallic groan. Then an insectile limb shot out the metal side of the van. We all screamed, and a second, third, and fourth leg shot out of the side. The van rocked, and then it stood up on its spider legs. As it did, glass shattered from the van. The creature turned around. There were so many more tendrils sticking out the side window, but even worse, there were some larger ones outside the windshield. It was like a hydra, if instead of snake heads, it was raw, red, writhing maggots. Each of those horrible tubes had the same circular, razor-sharp mouths. Many of those mouths could have eaten people much larger than a 4-year-old. The low grumbling the beast was making rumbled all the way through my chest, and the insectile legs stabbed into the asphalt as the creature turned to face us. Then it started hurtling towards us. All its legs hammered into the ground in disturbing, spider-like motions. All the tendrils were thrashing and screaming as it came towards us. But under the spider legs, I spotted my axe again. It was coming too fast to run away from. There was only one option for me. I started sprinting towards the axe, next to the beast charging towards us. I thought I could make it. I couldn't. One set of teeth gleamed past my head, and I shrieked. I ducked down from the maw, but the tentacle coiled around me and started to tighten. My ribs were crushed. I was lifted from the ground.
"Mick!"
Jack shouted below me. I heard more popping of BB guns below me, and the tendril beneath me shuddered. After a few seconds, I was falling. I screamed. I hit the floor directly with my palms. I pushed myself to my feet and kept sprinting. The axe was ahead of me. I leaned down, still running, and scooped up the handle into my hands. The ice cream van was preoccupied with the other three, and I bolted back towards them. I knew what to do. As the thing was looking the other way, I sprinted underneath the creature. There wasn't enough room to swing the axe, but I grabbed the back of the axe blade with both hands and thrust it upwards into the organs above me. I aimed for the heart. When I hit it, it squelched. It exploded into liquid crimson and sprayed tepid liquid all over me. It got in my mouth. It tasted like iron. The lungs inflated, and when it exhaled, all of its innards above me shuddered amongst each other. More blood fell down on my head, but I kept going. I wrenched the axe blade out and then thrust it upwards again, this time into its lungs. Above me, it wheezed, spraying more noxious, warm fluid over me. The creature's metallic shell gave another creak. The legs started to buckle. Suddenly, the thing was coming down.
Mick!
Steve screamed. I leapt forwards and grabbed the head of the golf club, and I was dragged out. The thing crashed down behind me, and for a second, I lay on the rugged asphalt, stones poking into my face, my heart hammering in my chest and my lungs heaving.
Are you okay?
Dave asked. Yeah, I panted. A hand appeared in the corner of my vision, and I gladly took it. When I was pulled to my feet, I turned and looked over at the thing. But it was disintegrating into both dust and blood as I looked at it, leaving the empty shell of the ice cream van behind it. Whatever it wasn't leaving a trace of its existence. Then, I saw a figure sprawled on the floor, covered in blood.
Jack!
I ran towards him and skidded to my knees beside him. His eyes were like glass balls. His skin was white. He was cold. Around his torso, there was a perfectly circular bite, gouging out more of Jack's body than he could have possibly survived. I stood up, and Dave and Steve's faces were pale.
Whoa, what do we do now?
Steve asked quietly. We didn't know. We still don't. That's the story of how we lost our best friend to an impossible creature. And to this day, we can never tell another soul about it. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy these stories, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and check out some more of my episodes here.